Hey guys, it's Minda Guhab, the Global Call in Action. It's the New Year's Revolution 2018, and we're going to keep this really simple. I am going to show you a really helpful way to write New Year's resolutions. Now, I'm going to share with you my screen. I want to teach you guys about SMART resolutions, SMART goals. It stands for these specific things. Let me pull this up. SMART means a specific goal. You're going to say exactly what you're going to be doing. Like with my run, I'm not going to say just, I'm going to run this year. I'm going to say I'm going to run 4 days a week this year. That brings us to measurable. So I used 4 days. That's totally measurable. I can track that on my watch. I can see where and when I did those runs. Attainable. So for some people, 4 days running may not be that attainable, but for others it's pretty easy. I made sure to do something that was sort of in between really challenging and pretty easy. For me to say once a week would have been too easy, but 4 days a week is a little challenging, even though I used to work out much more than that way back in the day, but that's not really the case now. I'm out of shape. So 4 days, 1.5 miles each time, pretty attainable, and I can always increase it later, right? So you want to do something that's sort of in between really easy and really hard, like right in the middle. And then what you want to do is make sure it's relevant to your life, right? There are some goals you might be setting up that are really, sound really inspiring, but you're really probably not going to follow up on it because it's not really that tied to what you're committed to in your life in general. For example, I had this really great goal to perform in a toddler recital this year. But unfortunately, I didn't have the money to pay my toddler teacher for the level of training that I needed to be able to do that. So I'm putting that aside for now, but I'm going to do something maybe a little less smart and just say, hey, I'll take lessons when I can. But it's not going to be part of my New Year's resolutions. Instead, I'm going to put this running in and make sure that is a specific goal I have in front of me, because my goal is to get fit, lose weight, and also run an ultra marathon at Burning Man. So I'm going to make sure this happens. I'm really committed to that. And maybe next year I'll focus on the toddler recital. But I really know that the run is going to make sense for me. Okay, and it's time bound. So I could say I'm going to run this year for 4 days, but I can do it the 4 days sometime this year. That doesn't really work. You got to do this every week, at least for me. So making sure you have a specific amount of time makes a lot of sense. Will help you within a reasonable amount of time, a reasonable measured amount of time. Make sure that you get it done and you have something to hold yourself accountable to. So I'm just going to return back to the broadcast here. I see that Sebastian's online. What's going on,
Hi.
Sebastian?
I just joined.
So happy you're here. So it's just you and me right now, although a few others may join us later.
Okay.
So would you feel comfortable with me working with you on one SMART resolution right now?
Oh, what's going on right now? Is
Yeah,
anyone on right now?
you are just you and me.
Okay.
Do you have anything you're working on? Have you come up with an idea of a resolution you want to do?
I'd like to travel more. Does that count? I don't know.
Travel more. Okay, yeah, sure. It's fine. That's perfect, actually. So what we can do is we can turn that from a pretty vague statement, traveling more, to a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound sentence. And we'll go through it step by step. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you make that statement more specific? Like, is there specific places
Oh, yeah,
you want to go?
definitely.
Okay, so what are those?
have my dad's friend that goes to Cambodia for a month every year after like he works and he saves up all his money, and I can
Oh, that
like
sounds
go
great.
with him and things like that. And I also made two more connections. I can go to Florida or maybe even Los Angeles with my Vietnamese friends. His name is Ben, and I can go with them too. He really like me.
Okay, so that's 3 places you listed, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's really great. Um, that's specific. Perfect. So now let's go to measurable. When are you going to do these trips? When would you like to aim to do that? That's also probably under time bound, but just curious.
I think maybe during the summertime or wherever they're available too. So I have to plan out with them. So it depends on them too.
Okay,
Summertime or fall time, or
okay.
even maybe in the winter.
So how can you make um these trips happen in a way, like, is there anything that's getting in the way? Is there money issues? Is there time issues? I'm just trying to
Um,
get at what might be measurable that you could add.
I could save up money, but like yeah, you kind of have to compromise what you want to really do. Like I can like invest more or go on vacation. That's the two choices I have to do in between, you know?
Okay, so you have a choice between taking the money you have and
Yes.
investing it. So you and I met at a cryptocurrency event, so I know you're doing that. But you're also thinking that you might put some of that money towards these trips, right?
Yes. It's worthwhile because for me, I live once, YOLO,
Okay, great.
right?
Okay, so in order to make these trips happen, um, it makes sense that you are going to measure the amount of money you have putting towards these trips to make them possible, right?
Oh yeah, make a budget too. Like if it's too out of bounds, maybe not. You have to make another plan with them and make it more cost friendly for me.
Okay. So sounds like money is a specific issue, which would clearly be that way for a lot of people.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so you've got 3 locations you're looking at, um, and you want to um, you want to make this possible by having enough money to do it. So how are you going to um, budget for these trips? How much money are you going to put towards these trips, and at the time for when you decide to do these becomes relevant, right?
So like if I'm going with Karuna Tech, that's my dad's friend from Cambodia. He stays there for a month and I may have to leave earlier so I can plan that out too. And that'll reduce the cost, maybe half a month
Okay,
during when he goes, you know. Can you hear me? Fine.
yeah. Um, so you're not really sure of what the specific money is that you'll need because you may have some of it covered, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
may ask him. I may ask him too.
okay,
But I think I know that I could stay at his place with his family.
okay. So you need to come up with a budget and you need to figure out all those details. Sounds to me like you need to make that a almost a separate goal in itself. Um, trying to put this into a
Hello? Cut off a little bit. Oops, the signal here.
resolution.
Oh, you froze up.
Maybe for each of these trips.
Hello?
How you're going to. So why
I
don't
didn't
we
hear it. Oh,
why don't we
wait.
start with
I didn't hear any of that because it's keep cutting off uh, the video and audio.
okay, is it cutting? I know that happened to me earlier. Sorry about that. Um, I'll just say it one more time.
Okay.
two things you need to do. To make those 3 trips happen, you need to budget.
Okay.
And that's actually probably a separate, specific, measurable, attainable, and relevant, time-bound thing. So yes. One resolution is you're going to do 3 trips. We'll start with and finish the rest of the SMART check-in. So 3 trips to 3 specific places, right? Is it Cambodia, Florida, and San Francisco? Right?
Yeah, Los Angeles. Maybe
Los
Los
Angeles.
Angeles.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then are those 3 attainable? Depending on that question, isn't it?
Oh, just a sec. Like you hang up again. Like you hanged up like a little bit.
3 specific trips, are those attainable?
Yes, I think so.
So then we'll cover the rest of that in the budget item. Are these relevant to your life?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's really relevant. I really care about them.
Okay, great. And sounds like these are time bound, that you want to do these trips this year, right?
Yeah, because I want to I really think it's the right moment for all of them at once. It seems like.
Okay. Do you have any idea more specifically what times during the year you want to go to any of these places?
Summer and fall time, or even winter time, but maybe not during Christmas. I don't know. Depends on my family.
Okay. So some of these details are kind of fuzzy, but you know you want to do 3 specific trips to Cambodia, Los Angeles, Florida, possibly during the summer,
Yes.
right? And they're attainable and relevant to your life. Okay. So then you have a second resolution, which is sort of tied to this first one. And that is to save money for 3 specific trips.
Yeah. I didn't think of that as a separate, resolution. I never thought of that.
It's a big project, Sometimes you need to break out the one resolution, travel more, to see these other things that need to be broken out. You see how that works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know it. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, this is like all these things that seem like big ideas or big goals can be very attainable if you put them into smaller steps, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you do what I just did with your first resolution? How do you make your saving money for those 3 trips specific and measurable?
I'll have a budget, and a time span of vacation, plan out with everyone, and see if they done it already, and then they kind of know the cost, and I'll kind of pull out the same amount they do for how much it costs.
So why don't you say that again, but make it a specific statement to yourself of what you're going to do. You're gonna write it like an action, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Statement. Simple statement.
We're planning to go to, and also we're going, my friend Danny and Emily, right? We may plan to go to vacation on a cruise in Florida. So you know anything about cruises? I have to research that too.
Okay, so that may actually be part of this, right? To research the cost of a Florida trip.
Yeah.
So maybe you're going to start there.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask Emily. She knows, she's been on a lot of cruises.
Okay. It almost makes sense that you might have 3 more resolutions. Research Florida trip, and then set up budget for Cambodia, or research Cambodia and research Los Angeles. Or those go under one resolution with researching all 3 trips. And then maybe you'll find you'll have to break them out later.
Yeah. Yeah, I can separate out. That's no problem.
Okay, so let's do a second resolution to research Florida. So that's the specific thing, right? You're going to research.
Yeah, that's the most likely one, Florida.
Okay.
California is like the last one, probably.
Okay, so you are going to research Florida, and how are you going to make that a measurable thing?
What do you mean by measurable?
Okay, let me think. Let's think through what does it take to research Florida? You have to get on the internet, right?
Yeah.
What are you going to Google?
Um, I just Google the plane cost, the flight cost from
Okay,
Milwaukee to Florida,
okay,
and have emergency money too with
okay.
that. So I have to look up how much emergency money I should have just in case something happens
All right.
and
So
things like
when you're
that.
researching Florida, you're going to do a Google search of flights and
Maybe cruise cost too.
okay, okay. So you've gotten more specific. Research Florida cruises and um, flight costs, and um, you're going to add. You're going to total these costs.
Yeah.
Um, when are you going to get this done by?
I never thought of that.
Just make
Can
it
you
up.
read it? Okay. Probably let's try July.
Does that
We
make
think
sense? Are you going
July.
to do that trip in? Are you going to do that trip in July, or are you going to do? Because I thought you wanted to have your trips to be in the summer.
Summer, fall, or wherever they're available. Summer, fall, or winter time.
So if it's going to be as early as summer, you probably need to do your research before summer, right?
Exactly.
Going to do your budget or your research, Florida.
If everything aligns, like maybe I'll plan with Danny and Emily. If this is this on, right? Maybe like a month or earlier before.
Yeah, I'm
And,
going to
and
suggest that you do it before that.
yeah, or else I'll waste my time, then it's worthless. Like it's not gonna happen anyways, kind of thing. So
Oh, see, now here we get to some of this self-talk that actually may sabotage your trip. Do you hear that?
really?
You just said, well, it may not happen anyway.
Yeah, it may not happen because they have so many things happening.
Well, if you say it may not happen, you're increasing the chances of it not happening. See, the purpose having these revolutions is to make it happen.
Yeah.
So maybe what you need to do is research it ahead of time to see if it's even feasible, right? So that's more specific in the sense that you're not sure that you're going to be able to do it.
Or
So
like I could plan it out, then share it with Emily and Danny, and try and make it like I'm really excited for it. Then it has more possibility of it happening
awesome. Okay, that makes
like
sense.
that.
So what makes sense to do that? When do you think you're going to do that?
Um, Maybe I can do it right now. Honestly, I can do it right now.
So
Nothing's gonna
January
stop
1,
me.
to do that and send a specific message to them
I
suggesting they
give
reach you.
Yeah, I can give them multiple options of what time. Like I can like find a date of a cruise for like summer, fall, winter time, wherever you're available. But I can make an option what kind of price point it will be and things like that. And feature these things ahead of time
Okay,
for them to make it easier and feasible, like you said.
that's awesome. So do you think it's gonna be easy to get in touch with them today?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think there's gonna be anything that gets in the way sometime today that you may not make it happen?
No, I could chat them right now. I said, what would be a good
Great.
time for a cruise for you guys?
Okay, awesome. So you've
Yeah.
made it specific, you made it time bound. Um, measurable doesn't really seem to necessarily apply. It sounds like you just need to contact them today. Um, and sounds like it's a pretty actionable thing to reach out to your friends and
Yes.
that it's relevant. Now, I don't know if you noticed, we've just um, made research the Florida trip a more specific thing, and
Yes.
it's now communicate with my friends who I want to go on that trip with today.
Yeah.
You just made a very specific SMART resolution, but it's part of a bigger, it's part of a bigger project, which is Research Florida, which is part of an even bigger project, which is actually travel to Florida, Los Angeles, and Cambodia.
Yes. So like try to do one. It's hard enough already.
Well, you see how when you do one resolution, there's all these other actions that come up. But
like
these
what?
are actions like contacting your friends today.
Yeah.
Research the trip. So what's great is that these are totally attainable. But now you have these actions that are totally doable.
Yeah, I see that. I see all the processes right in your face now. It's not, you could think clearer about it rather than the vague idea we started out with.
Exactly. So this is how I do all of my work. You know, as you know, I have a company. I don't know if I also have a coaching business.
A what?
Company. I have a coaching business, which is a separate company.
Wow.
I'm doing quite a few other things that I'm not even going to go into right now. Those two things are big enough. And I always bring things to these SMART goals. So some tools I use that make it easier for me to stay on top of all these different actions.
Okay.
But you can see that you've just made for yourself an action that will probably make this trip to Florida really happen. So here's what I do. I'm going to show you and share my screen again. Have you ever heard of Trello?
Nope.
Trello.
I heard of the name, but I never used it.
Okay. So you might want to pull this up on your computer, Trello.com. Or you can do this another time because you have to put in a login and account. I have 2 Trello boards. And what you're looking at right now is my plan to create a New Year's resolution for myself.
Yeah.
And I have, just like you, 2 big goals that I just broke out into smaller chunks, right? Now, you're looking at the smaller chunks right now. Your version of it would be in January, trips, contact my friends today to Research Florida trip.
Okay.
My version of it is heart. So I want to have a heart-filled way of being. And so what I want to do is master listening. And I have a specific step for that, which is to review an intentional listening worksheet that I have. And I'm going to do that today.
Ooh.
So you see how I have that on top? Yeah.
Yes.
And oh my gosh, I have some other things that I came up with too. So I have a Slack channel, which is how I communicate with my company, and it's called the Great Work Channel.
A what channel?
Great Work.
Okay.
Some reading I was doing on Steve Jobs and how he manages his company before, when he was doing all the work he was doing to drive people crazy to have them do their best work. And I'm going to share that with my team tomorrow, January 2nd. So you see that entire conversation around trips, you can actually now have your one simple action, or maybe another, come up with other actions with your friends, right? And you can just put them right here. See how helpful that is?
Yeah.
Actually, I have another big goal too, which is to start making money for my. And so that's why I have money. Break down $22 million by quarter into major expenses by January 4th. I'm going to do that in 3 days.
What happened?
I'm going to break down. I'm aiming to have money this year with this crazy amount of money to break it down into smaller pieces. So just how you said you want to travel more, well, I said I want to have more money. In fact, I want to have $22 million. Now, that may not happen, but I can break it down further into stuff that seems more doable. And who knows, maybe I might come up with like $22 million, but you might as well aim high, because if I said, oh, I want to raise $250,000, that might be too small. Although
Yeah,
that may
aim
be a more,
higher to get lower, right?
yeah, exactly. So I'm stretching myself. I may find that it's too big. I may have to change it later, but I'm doing this as an exercise.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, I
so that's,
like that.
yeah, right. It's really helpful. I found myself doing impossible things by approaching goals this way. You know, one of them I did when I was about 15 years ago. I was not an athlete, but I made this big goal to finish my first triathlon. And what I did was just say, I'm going to start researching how to work out.
Hmm.
And guess what? I
Yeah.
went from researching how to work out to 6 months later. Not only did I finish my first triathlon, I finished two of them, and I placed in the top third of my age group, qualified for national championships.
Whoa, that's nice.
Yeah. So you'll find that, like, with your trips, they might be doing this with other parts of your life, and this will become really easy. Doing trips will be easy, and you'll come up with even bigger goals. That seemed impossible to me, but now that's easy to me, and I can come up with bigger goals, like this huge one of raising $22 million some way, somehow. So yeah. Another one that was more actionable, you'll see in the next Trello board. It says write white paper with new graphs or new paragraphs by Thursday. So I'm actually working with somebody on a white paper because, as you know, we are a blockchain startup. And so when you're raising money, you have to write a white paper describing what you're using blockchain for. So I am finishing this white paper with the developer I'm working with. And that's a little bit more doable. It's like, those steps to break down are not as difficult. But it's the same thing. Like, even though it's not as huge, it's a specific goal with a time-bound date. It's definitely relevant, definitely measurable, and it's definitely relevant.
How many pages is
Or
it?
attainable. Right now it's 4 pages.
So you're aiming for like around 11, like the original white paper of Bitcoin?
Page count, I'm doing it by the actual content.
Okay.
I like to have less pages if possible. I'm a very
Mhm.
concise writer, so that's a whole other issue I can go into. But I learned how to write, and I had my own specific goals around that. So these things all build on each other.
Yeah, like George Orwell said, like something like less is more, like conciseness makes it more powerful or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, definitely. They actually say that to for an hour take prep, but to speak great takes at least an hour, if not hours of prep,
Hmm.
right? So I think what we're going through here is all these different ways of becoming better at things by breaking them down. Using that word fractal earlier when we were talking on on chat.
Oh, I thought you were saying like the fractal
These,
mathematical artworks, Python or whatever.
yeah, that is what I'm talking about. Fractals are little pieces that are nested in other pieces, right? Because they're growing out from other things that already existed. So we're growing that will lead into bigger accomplishments. And those accomplishments can lead goals that you have as you get better at them.
Hmm.
Get too esoteric, but I want to show you another tool I have.
Cool.
So Trello is a way that you can bring it out, but I want to show you, I have a really big plan also on Trello. Let me just show you really quick. Um, it's letting me, I'm going to go to my Excel spreadsheet. This is where I do a journal. So check this out. Every day, out my daily dashboard for today. You see that?
Damn, that's a lot of stuff.
This today. This is starts at 3:30 because I actually have as one of my resolutions to wake up at 4 a.m. every day, which I totally do. And it's like not that hard for me. That may be intimidating to other people, but that's besides the point. So those actions I wrote in the Trello board, and I stuck them in here because I'm supposed to review my listening worksheet today, 5:30. So you can see I'm on this call right now, but when I'm done at the call, I'm going to have some errands I need to run. Errands, and then I'm going to paint. I'm going to have some fun today. I'm going to review that listening worksheet so I can master listening. And then I'm going to share the stuff that I'm doing and learning on the Great Work channel at Slack. Specific time that I'm going to do this today. I have to figure it out what I'm going to do tomorrow, but I know I'm going to do it today. I gave myself enough time. I know myself, but you know, you may not always know what your time is going to be like. So it's always good to write it down and the next day if something comes up, right?
Yeah.
So then I have a few other things that I need to do for a course, a data science course I'm taking. Now you'll notice that this stuff is not in my analyzing ECG, putting my stuff on GitHub. None of that's on there because it's stuff I already do pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually only do New Year's resolutions for things that are hard for me to do in my routine.
I call it like a happening, like it's like on a habitual thing you're doing. Like I call it like a happening, you know?
Oh, okay. So how to make things happen, make it a happening.
Yeah, it's like out of routine and things like that, you know.
Okay, cool. So I have resolutions are my happenings, my revolutions.
That's cool.
Create
You
the
do
revolution
so
for
much. You do
2018.
so much stuff. How can you do it every day? It's amazing.
Well, this is how I do it, is I just break it out. I only allow myself to do like maybe 3 big things during the day, and that's it. That's how I make it
So do
happen.
you have plans like this on your free time too? Like when you're not working? I'm just curious.
For my free days, just do one of these, and I put one thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if it's not even like anything I need to write down, I'll just not put a worksheet together because it's a free day. But sometimes I have free days where I have to get at least one thing done. So I have to set an alarm and write it down. So it just depends. You just have to get to know yourself and see what gets you in action. That's the most important thing. And you find that out over time. And you know, like these little structures, and you have to find out what works for you. Like an Excel spreadsheet may not work for you. It might be something else. You know, what do you look at work every day? A website where you write these things down, like a Google Hangout, and then you put it in your Chrome preferences so that it opens up every time you open Chrome, and you see the website for your Google Drive doc right there in front of your face.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
That's a good move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have that. I used to do that, but now I have other stuff in my Chrome preferences. So for people who are not familiar with Chrome, you have the ability to actually, let me see if I can screen share my screen here for people who are looking at this. So,
Cool.
I just fractalized myself. Oh, you're fractalizing. Okay, that's probably a little too much. But that's so weird. And you can actually set down here under on startup to show up.
Oh, that's so cool.
Isn't that cool?
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
So I have a ton of websites. So if I were to close out Chrome, it again. I'm not gonna do that because I'll hang up on you guys. But if I was to go new window, no, that's not gonna work. That's a cognito window. Window. I just pretend you'll see all these websites just pop up just like that. It's so useful. Listed here
Wow.
automatically. It's such a great way to get things done. So here I just have my schedule. I have the news that I want to read every day. Like all of my developer tools, research tools. So that's a really great way to use Chrome. It's another tool that you can consider.
Okay.
So, do you have any questions so far? Anything else that like things that might get in the way of you getting into action around your resolutions?
Mm, I can't think of any. It's just
Yeah.
I just have to do it. Yeah, I just have to do it and like be committed. Or I think I know a lot of it's about caring. If you care about it, if you care about your resolution, it'll most likely happen then. Rather than if you don't care, then
Yeah.
maybe not.
Well,
A lot of it's about
that's what.
caring.
Oh yeah, totally. That's that word passion that's so overused in the startup space, but it's true. You know, if you care about something, if you're passionate about something, you're going to think about it all the time, right? It's really another word for drive. If you have a real drive to do something, then putting up these structures is going to make you even better organized to get the thing you're already driven to do done, right? That's that
Yeah.
word relevant in SMART. I would say that that letter is representing passion or drive. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really important to look at that. Like, I love Tabla and I really do want to play recital. I do feel like I'm passionate about it, but I have so many other goals that are kind of in the way of me prioritizing that right now. So even though I love it and I am passionate about it, I'm passionate more about these other things for now. But I have it still in the background of another board where I have all my backlog projects that I'm going to move forward into the spotlight. In fact, if you want to take a look at it, I'm going to show you my backlog Trello. So if you, oh, hold on, let me just switch over to it. I have a whole bunch of other resolutions that are kind of in the background. So once I get that other stuff done, I'll have these new things to add in. So you see heart and money, those are the things I had in my plan. Other four things that I'm working on at the same time. With my family, I'm going to schedule a call with my mom and my brother,
Uh-huh.
and we're going to talk about some specific things. I'm going to stop doing Facebook when I first wake up in the morning. And instead, I'm going to do these special videos and readings that I have. Just it takes courage for me because I'm like so into Facebook and I feel like I'm going to miss out on something if I don't do it. There's a few other things. So those are not really backlog. Those are actually things I'm doing at the same time. But if you were to go underneath these other pieces, these other actions, um, at my mind. Like I have these calls I've been organizing. I'm already doing them, so I didn't feel like I need to put it up front. This panel I want to do with my friend Rachel. I'm probably going to push that right into the front of my plan as soon as I get the other stuff done. But this is not as high priority.
Hmm.
So you can have another Trello board with your backlog stuff. You know, this stuff is more of the backlog, and these are things that are more to the back of the backlog. And I have these two little.
What's a backlog?
I'm sorry, I didn't explain that. Is a list of things that you're not going to work on. The other stuff that's up front. So this stuff is front of mind. Anything that's not front of mind is backlog.
Okay.
Front when these are done. Make sense? See, we can get so many big goals done. And I have essentially a huge list of things I made under these different principles I created for myself. Now, you don't even need to have any of these principles, but you might say that travel is important to you, so maybe you have a principle of travel,
Hmm.
or maybe there's something underneath travel that's important to you, like meeting people. And then you can put a whole bunch of you want to do under meeting people, right?
Yeah.
But it's easier to stick with one or two resolutions that are big and then break them down, blog type thing later as you get better at this level type stuff for someone who's been doing it for a long time. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who'll be watching this later. So I thought that might be helpful to share.
Oh, you're recording this?
Yep, I am recording it. I told you that. So if
That's okay. You can put it on.
yeah,
It's fine.
great. Sent here. Okay, so I
Good
think
thing I was
that's
on my
pretty.
behavior though.
I know. Well, you're awesome. So I figured that you're totally good with the broadcast. Okay, so what other questions do you have or concerns like that might be getting in the way of you making these trips happen? Like, what obstacles might you be coming across, you think, besides money? Anything else?
Hmm. Have to. I don't know. It's not in my mind right now.
Okay, so I think we did a pretty good job, but it's always good to have an idea of what might get in the way because you can create new resolutions to deal with obstacles. For
Hmm.
example, um, the reason I have a money set of resolutions, I um, wasn't going to be able to start a company, at least I thought I couldn't, unless I had money. So for a long time, I was really stuck. But then I realized, well, then maybe I just need to go and find ways to raise money. So I made that its own set of resolutions. So just remember, if there's any doubts that you have, you can do this same process with those obstacles, anything that comes in the way, just by breaking it down into smaller actions and see how you can start thinking about how to address an obstacle. And it may even just be research or talking to people about how they did it.
Okay. I'm really
Okay.
excited to
Okay.
watch
I'm
this
really
too.
excited to watch this too. Okay. I thought you were getting shy. All right.
No.
So no. So I think we're good. I'm so happy you joined, Sebastian. And you know what? I should mention, when we met at the blockchain conference, I went up and talked to you because you won tickets to go to Vietnam. And I thought it was so cool the way that happened because you stood up to a presenter who was bragging about how his business was going to do all kinds of things with blockchain, and then you stood up and you asked, well, what about social impact and things that are more important than making a bunch of money? Really, really
Yeah,
cool.
I was just talking about subsistence markets and things like that. Like it should be for
Yeah,
everyone.
that was
That's
pretty badass.
Thank you.
I'm wondering why your trip to Vietnam is not in your list of trips to do.
Um, that's that's out of maybe the money range, like you're saying.
Oh, I thought they were paying for you. Aren't they going to pay for your ticket? That
Oh,
guy?
for the plane tickets?
Yeah,
They didn't give me the plane tickets.
they didn't.
Yeah, they didn't.
Why?
Because I don't know. They kind of. I should have just asked them for the bit deals worth of a plane ticket if I was smart enough. But it may not be. It may. Huh?
Maybe you need
Add
to
that as a
add that to one of
resolution.
your, uh-huh, like just talking to that guy about what happened there and getting him to give you some cash instead of the plane tickets.
Oh, I did that already.
Oh, really? What happened?
Maybe kind of a language barrier or integrity
Ooh.
barrier.
Okay, so he basically went back on his promise to you.
Yeah, it's like maybe it's like I don't want to say anything bad about him, but the speech could have been a little bit more. He could have practiced more on his speech, and maybe just used me as a use the audience as an opportunity to break him out of his circumstances during his speech at the blockchain
Okay.
conference.
Well, that's funny. I wasn't going to go into this whole thing, but these funny situations happen, and these are actually really good things to do New Year's resolutions around sometimes. If it were me, I might just go and address it with them, with someone who's a Vietnamese speaker, and ask them if they are willing to keep their word, because that was done publicly. That's a real stretch goal, and that takes courage to do. Doing something for you to think about.
I don't want to ruin anyone's reputation, no. Like, I'm not that type of guy. I've seen people ruin people's reputation that are totally innocent, you know.
You can do it privately. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you should do it publicly, but someone who does something, who says something like that, he probably intended to help you. So if there was a language barrier, then maybe you need to just clear that up, and you can be less afraid of talking to people and give them a chance to communicate with you. I mean, that's a whole other conversation, but that's what comes up for me.
Oh, I contacted a team member, and he just kind of ignored me now. And sometimes maybe you shouldn't push certain things. It's not gonna work out anyways. Like, I don't want to be considered a stalker or whatever. Like, it comes to a certain point where you should stop, I think.
Okay, well, that makes sense as a judgment call. But I do want to say that doing New Year's resolutions around things that are really kind of tough and hard to is totally worth it as an exercise, even if it ends up not being something you end up pursuing. So is that because I called this the New Year's revolution. And when you're doing things that are a revolution, you tend to address things that are kind of murky like this. So I thought I'd put that out there. And I really admired you for saying those things. So to me, it's so perfect that you're on this conversation with me.
Is anyone else on right now? I can't tell. I never use this.
You and me on this call, but I think there'll be a ton of people watching. And there might be other people watching too.
How many people?
On YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I'll end the broadcast here, but we can talk some more and we can see who else is watching.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
And
Bye.
everyone, this was Linda Guhab, the Global Call in Action News Revolution 2018. Please share on your comments about your resolutions, and you can find us at loveperforms.com, also on Facebook at Love Performs.